Yeah, is the PPT visible on your
Yes,
screen?
sir.
Okay, thank you for the response. Yes, so now we are going to start the next topic of this unit, which is vector space. And as Pranjul and Raj said, mostly the understanding about vector space is it is a bunch of vectors and which satisfies some rules. Kuch rules hain which they are satisfying. But it's not always that vector space is a bunch of vectors. It can be bunch of matrices. It can be bunch of functions. It can be bunch of any other objects. But the important thing is whatever your bunch is, whether it is for matrices or for vectors or for numbers, it should satisfy 10 rules or 10 conditions of vector space. Now, those 10 conditions are divided in two parts. 5 conditions are for addition and 5 conditions are for scalar multiplication. So there are two operations which we are taking for any set: addition and scalar multiplication. Now, one more thing, your addition and multiplication here in vector space, it's not always your usual addition and multiplication. The way we are adding two vectors or the way we are adding two matrices or the way we are adding two functions, it's not always the same addition in vector space. You can define your own addition operation and multiplication operation depending on the data set which is available with you. Right? When you are dealing with machine learning algorithms and when you are dealing with a data, it's not always that your data follows the same addition which you have studied in your first year or second year. The way we are adding two vectors, the addition can be different for your data set. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि हमको x coordinate को ऐड ही नहीं करना है, right? If you remember our first lecture of introduction, at that time I have given you one example of countries, then the agriculture land and the amount of agriculture production they are doing, right? So that data we have represented in form of vector, and the first coordinate was the country name. So let's say for India and the second country is Sri Lanka. So if I add their x coordinate, India plus Sri Lanka, so India plus Sri Lanka is not a country. India plus Sri Lanka जैसा कोई country ही नहीं है, right? So sometimes doing usual addition is not the right way. So in that case, we need to exclude our x coordinate. Right? Adding x coordinate is not the right way to do it. So sometimes you need to define your own addition and multiplication depending on what kind of data you have. So for those operations, if those 10 conditions are satisfied, then that data is good enough to provide to any algorithm for learning purpose. Right? Ultimately, the algorithms are doing the learning process. वो उससे कुछ सीखेगा, the algorithm will try to establish relation between those data. So that data is good enough to provide to any algorithm if these 10 conditions are satisfied. तभी जाके वो algorithms जो हैं they will work properly or they will establish good relation between the data. So for introduction, the machine learning algorithms, they mostly rely on certain assumptions about the data being mined, right? And these algorithms, they use the conditions of vector space. So these conditions are very fundamental when it comes to machine learning algorithms. That's why vector space is very essential when you are dealing with machine learning subject. Now, as I told you earlier, vector spaces can be made from vectors, it can be made from numbers, matrices, functions, or any other objects. So here in general, we will use the word object. That object is a general word. Now that object can be number, that object can be vector, that object can be matrix, that object can be function, or it can be anything else. So here in general, we will use the word object. And that set of object, if that set of objects satisfied certain rules, then we can say it is a vector space. Right? So not every set of object confirm the rules of vector space. Right? So these rules are very important, and the rules that makes vector space very useful. Right? ये rules ही हैं जो vector space को काफी useful बनाते हैं. Right? If we don't confirm the rules of vector space, then what will happen? The relationship will be inconsistent within the data set, and if the algorithm is using this kind of data set which is not satisfying the conditions of vector space, then whatever relation it is trying to establish, that relation will be having problem. There will be error in that relation, and that relation won't be proper. जो भी रिलेशन एस्टैब्लिश होगा फ्रॉम दैट एल्गोरिदम, राइट, दैट रिलेशनशिप विल बी हैविंग सम error because your data set is not satisfying the conditions of vector space. So ultimately the vector space is useful to identify whether the data set is proper or not, whether the data set is good enough to provide to any algorithm or not, right? Depending on what operations we are choosing, whatever your addition is, whatever your multiplication is. तो जो भी addition multiplication हमको define करना है, for that addition and multiplication it should satisfy all the 10 rules of vector space. Now let's see what are those 10 rules of vector space. Okay, हमने recording start कर दिया कि नहीं? Yeah, we have
Yes, sir.
started recording. Okay.
हाँ सर.
Right, so let's see the formal definition of vector space. If we have a non-empty set V of objects, see I'm writing the word objects here, right? Why I'm writing the general word here? Because you should understand this objects can be anything, numbers, vectors, matrices, functions, or any other thing. That's why I'm writing the word object here. So we have a non-empty set of objects on which we are defining two operations, namely addition and scalar multiplication. Now again, this addition and multiplication, it's not always they are your usual addition and multiplication. They can be any different thing. You can define your own addition and multiplication for your data set. Right? So we should have two operations here, addition and scalar multiplication. And we have 10 rules which should follow in order to make set V a vector space. And these 10 operations are divided in two parts. First 5 for addition and the next 5 they are for scalar multiplication. Now let's try to understand these 5 rules or these 5 axioms. We also call it axioms sometime, right? They are called rules or axioms of vector space. Right, so these are the first 5 rules of vector space and they are for addition. Now this is the first rule. If U and V are two objects in set V, then their addition U plus V, it should also be part of set V. Right? If you take U and V, okay, let me draw a set. That would be a good idea. Let me define a set here. It's a huge set having so many objects. Let's say this is capital V and it has so many objects, U bar, V bar, W bar, A, B, C, D, right? It has so many objects. Now, if I choose any two objects from this set, let's say U and V, then their addition U plus V, whatever it is, that new vector or new object, again, it should be part of your set V. It's not like that U plus V is outside of V. That's not allowed. This property or this rule is called closure property. Right? This is called closure property. Closure property means if you take two objects from your set V, if you add them, then their addition should be again part of your set V. For example, let's say if my set is R, set of real numbers, if I choose any two numbers from this set, let's say A equal to 2, B equal to 5, and if I add them, A plus B, 2 plus 5, what is 2 plus 5? 2 plus 5 will be 7. Now, do you think 7 is also part of R? क्या 7 जो है वो भी real number है क्या? है ना real number 7B? That means 7 is also part of set R. So we have taken A from set R, we have taken B from set R, and their addition A plus B again we are getting in the same set R. See, that's why our usual addition is working effectively on any set. Why it is working effectively? Because it is satisfying the closure property. You take any two numbers from set, you add them, and your result will be again part of the same set. This property is very essential when you are dealing with vector space. This property is called closure property. इससे क्या होता है कि जो भी आपके रिजल्ट्स हैं, राइट, जो भी आपका ऑपरेशन है, इट इज क्लोज्ड. आपके रिजल्ट्स कभी भी उस सेट से बाहर नहीं जाने वाले, राइट? सो दैट इज गारंटीड. that your results are bound to belong in that set V. वो कभी उससे बाहर नहीं जाएंगे. So this is very important rule of vector space closure property. Then second rule is u plus v is equal to v plus u. This u plus v equal to v plus u, this property also has a name. It is called commutative property. Now what is commutative property? Whether you add u plus v or you add v plus u, your result should be same. That means whether you add 2 plus 5 or you add 5 plus 2, in both the case your answer is what? 7. Your answer should not change. This property is called commutative property. That means the order is not important. You take u first and then second v, or you take v first and then second u. In that case your answer should not change. This property is called commutative property, and this is again second important rule of vector space, that commutative property should satisfy for all the objects of your set V. Set V में जितने भी objects हैं सबके लिए ये property satisfy होनी चाहिए. So that's your commutative property. Then the third property is called associative law or associative property. This is called associative law. Now what is associative law? If you observe your left hand side here, what is left hand side? It is u plus into bracket v plus w. That means v and w, they are in association. Association means they are together in a bracket. So here you need to add v and w first, right? You need to add them first, and whatever your result is, then you will add your answer with u. So here v and w, they are added first, and then the result is added in our third variable or third object u. In our right hand side, the association is changed. Now u and v, they are in association and w is single. So in this case you need to add u and v first. You add them first, and whatever your result is, then you need to add w. Now in both the cases your answers should be same, whether you keep v and w in association or you keep u and v in association. So by changing association, your answer should not change. Whether it is u plus into bracket v plus w or it is into bracket u plus v plus w, in both the cases you should get same result. So if you change association in three objects, that should not affect your final answer. This property is called associative law, right? If we talk in terms of number, it is like this. If you take 2 plus 3 plus 5, or if you take 2 plus 3 plus 5, in both the case your answer is same. It is 10. Right? So that property is called associative law. So this is again important rule of vector space, associative law. Then the fourth property or the fourth rule of vector space, in your set capital V, that means in your set of object, there should be one object called zero vector or zero object. ऐसा एक object होना चाहिए in your set V, for which if you add that object 0 to any other object u, then 0 plus u should be again u. Right? एक ऐसा object 0 आपके set में होना चाहिए that if you add this object to any other object, then your result should be the same object u again. Or if you take u plus 0, again it should be u. Right? So this object is called zero vector or zero object of our set V. So fourth condition is existence of zero object or existence of zero vector. Zero vector has to be there in your set V. If zero vector is not present in your set V, then it cannot be a vector space. So this condition is called existence of zero vector. Zero vector का existence set V में होना चाहिए. Right? That condition we are checking here. That our set V should have zero vector present in the set V. So this is called zero vector condition, existence of zero vector. Now fifth one, again fifth condition is for existence, but it is for opposite element. For every object u, there exists one opposite object or negative object minus u, such that if you add these two objects u and minus u, then their addition should be a zero object or zero vector. So for every object u, its opposite or its negative should be present or must be present in our set V. किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट U के लिए उसका ऑपोजिट या उसका नेगेटिव सेट V में प्रेजेंट होना ही चाहिए. If for any object U its negative is not present in V, then again it is not a vector space. So this condition number 5 is called existence of opposite element or existence of opposite object. So for every object, its opposite should be present in your set V. So that's your rule number 5 for vector space. So these 5 rules or these 5 conditions, they are for addition, right? Here in any of the condition, we haven't used multiplication. यहाँ कहीं पर भी हमने multiplication use नहीं किया, right? These 5 conditions are only for addition. So again, let me go through all 5 conditions. First condition is closure property. That means if you choose any 2 objects U and V, their addition U plus V again should be part of V. Second, U plus V equal to V plus U. That means commutative property. If you change the order of your addition, that should not affect your final answer. Third one, associative law. That means if you change the association of 2 objects, it should not affect your final value. Whether you keep V and W in association or you keep U and V in association, your final answer should be same. Fourth is existence of zero element. Right? In your set V, there should be one element which is entitled to be zero element. And if it is zero element, it should satisfy this property. 0 plus U is equal to U plus 0 equal to U. So we should have this zero element present in our set V. And last, the condition for existence of opposite element. For every object U, we should get minus U in our set V such that U plus minus U equal to 0 object. ऐसा है माइनस यू हर एक यू के लिए मिलना चाहिए. अगर किसी एक यू के लिए भी माइनस यू प्रेजेंट नहीं होता, देन इट इज नॉट अ वेक्टर स्पेस. Right? So these 5 conditions are for addition. Now similarly, the next 5 conditions are for scalar multiplication. So let's see what are those conditions. Now first condition, if k1 is any scalar, scalar means it's any constant number, it's any real value. Your scalars k1, k2, they will be belonging to set R. Set R is the set of real numbers. So for these 5 conditions, whatever scalars you are choosing, they are real numbers or they are real scalars. So if you take any scalar k1 and if you take U, which is an object of your set V, then k1 into U, they should be again part of your set V. For example, let's say my U is a vector 2, 3. And if I'm taking k1 equal to minus 5. So if I take minus 5 times U, then what will happen? It is minus 5 into 2, minus 5 into 3. So that is minus 10 and minus 15. Right? So this is my resultant vector, minus 10 and minus 15. Now that resultant vector, again, it should be part of my set of vectors V. जो भी मैंने सेट लिया है वेक्टर्स का V, उसका पार्ट होना चाहिए. If k times U is not part of that set V, then closure property is not satisfied. Yes, this is also closure property, but this closure property is for multiplication. The previous closure property was for addition, and this one is for multiplication. So this is called closure property. तो अगेन जब भी आप लोग ये वर्ड सुने ना क्लोजर प्रॉपर्टी, इट हैज अ सिंपल मीनिंग. क्लोजर प्रॉपर्टी मींस whatever operation you are performing on 2 objects, the resultant object should be part of your set. That is called closure property. चाहे ऑपरेशन आपका एडिशन हो, ऑपरेशन आपका मल्टीप्लिकेशन हो, चाहे कोई भी ऑपरेशन हो, अगर किसी 2 ऑब्जेक्ट पर आप ऑपरेशन अप्लाई कर रहे हो, तो जो भी आपका आंसर है, जो भी आपका रिजल्ट है, दैट शुड बी पार्ट ऑफ योर सेट अगेन. दिस प्रॉपर्टी इज कॉल्ड क्लोजर प्रॉपर्टी. So closure property for scalar multiplication. Then seventh one is called distributive law. This is called distributive law. Actually 7, 8, 9, they all are actually some kind of distributive laws. Now what do we mean by distributive law? It says that if you have k times U plus V, then you can write it like this: k times U plus k times V. That means you can give this k separately to both the objects. your first object u and second object v. You can write it like k times u plus k times v. For example, if we take any example of, let's say, a vector, let's say you have 2 times your, let's say your u bar is 1 comma 2 plus v bar is 3 comma 5. Then if I take addition first, then 1 comma 2 plus 3 comma 5 will be 4 comma 7. Now if I multiply with 2 here, so it will be 4 into 2 8 and 7 into 2 14. So what's my resultant vector? 8 comma 14. Now what is my right hand side? Right hand side is ku plus kv. That means 2 into u is 1 comma 2 plus 2 into 3 comma 5. So now it is 2 comma 4 plus 6 comma 10. Now if I add these two vectors, again it is 6 plus 2 8, 10 plus 4 14. So in my left hand side also my answer is 8 comma 14, and my right hand side is also giving me 8 comma 14, right? So this property is called distributive law. That means you can apply scalar k separately to both the objects. K times u plus v is equal to k times u plus k times v, right? This is called distributive law. So this is our rule number 7 for vector space. Similarly, what is rule number 8? Rule number 8 states that if you take k1 plus k2 times u, if you have addition of two scalars k1 plus k2, and if that addition is multiplied with object u, then you can also write it like this: k1 times u plus k2 times u. That means you can give this object u separately with both these scalars, k1 into u plus k2 into u, right? So this is again distributive law, but this is distributive law for scalars. Here we were taking distributive law for two objects u and v, right? We were separating u and v here, and here we are separating k1 and k2. So this is also distributive law, but it is for scalars. So this was for vectors and this is for scalars. So k1 plus k2 times u is equal to k1 times u plus k2 times u. This is 8th rule for vector space. And similarly, the ninth rule is, again, this is a kind of associative law for multiplication. What is associative law here? That if you multiply k2 with your object u first, then whatever your result is, then you are multiplying with k1. Now this is actually equal to k1 into k2 times u. ये actually किस तरह से लगेगा? Let's say if your k1 is 2, k2 is 3, and your vector u is actually 1 comma 2. So it is 2 times 3 times u. So 2 times 3 times u is 1 comma 2. So first I need to multiply with 3. So it is 3 comma 6, and then I need to multiply with 2. So 3 2s are 6 and 6 2s are 12. So what is my answer? My answer is 6 comma 12 here. Now what is right hand side here? Right hand side is k1 into k2 and u. Now what is k1 and k2? It is 2 and 3. So 2 into 3 times u, 2 into 3 is 6, and u is what? U is 1 comma 2. Now multiply with 6, it is 6 comma 12. So your answer is 6 comma 12 here. In left hand side also your answer is 6 comma 12. So that means both left hand side and right hand side, they are producing same result, right? This is called associative law for scalar multiplication. So scalar multiplication, it should also satisfy associative law. This is your 9th rule of vector space. And finally, the last but not the least, the very simple rule: if you multiply your object u with 1, here it is the constant value 1, k equal to 1. If you multiply your object with 1, then your answer should be u again. 1 into object is equal to object again. This is very simple and useful property. This property should satisfy if your set is vector space. 1 into object is equal to object again. अगर आप अपने ऑब्जेक्ट को 1 से मल्टीप्लाई करते हो तो वापस वही ऑब्जेक्ट मिलना चाहिए एज अ रिजल्ट, राइट? दिस प्रॉपर्टी इज आवर 10th rule. So if these 10 conditions or if these 10 rules are satisfied, then only we can say any set of object V is vector space, right? So these are the 10 rules. Now let's try to understand these things by example. Example करेंगे तभी पता चलेगा कि ये conditions कैसे काम करेंगे. So let's take one example. So first example, determine whether the set R plus of all positive real numbers with operations x plus y equal to x into y and k times x is equal to x power k is a vector space or not. So before you start applying conditions here, first you need to understand what is your set and what are your operations. If these two things are clear to you, then checking those conditions, it's not a tough task. So let's try to understand our set first. What is our set here? Do you think this set will have vectors? Do you think this set will have matrices? Numbers? क्या रहेगा इस set में? Can anyone tell me? What are the objects in R plus?
All positive numbers.
Yes, they are numbers. So here the objects are numbers, but not only any number. They are the positive real numbers. That means here R plus will have 0.1 can be there, 0.2 can be there, integers can be there, right? All the real numbers can be there, but it has to be positive. So it is the set of all positive real numbers, right? So R plus is there. Now let's try to understand our operations. See here the addition and multiplication, they are not the usual addition and multiplication. Right? ये example मैंने इसलिए रखा है so that you can understand the addition and scalar multiplication, they are not always usual addition and multiplication. They can be different. Right? So here we are defining addition like this. If you take two objects x and y from your set R plus, then their addition is defined like this. X plus y is actually defined by multiplication. Now this multiplication is actually ordinary multiplication, the multiplication which we are doing in our school. That means if I want to take 2 plus 3, then my 2 plus 3 will actually given by 2 into 3. That means my answer is what? 6. So here my addition is defined in this way, that if I add 2 and 3, then my answer is 6. If I add 3 and 5, then my answer is 15. If I add minus 2 and plus 5, then my answer is minus 10. Right? So this way my addition is defined. Is it clear to everyone how the addition is defined? Here the addition is actually defined by ordinary multiplication. Right? So the addition is given by ordinary multiplication. Similarly, the scalar multiplication is defined like this. If you multiply scalar value k to our object x, then that is actually given by x power k. Your scalar will move to the power. So that means if I want to take 2 times, let me take any object 3, that will give me 3 power 2. If I take minus 2 times 5, that will give me 5 power minus 2. And if I take, let's say, 3 times 1 upon 2, then it will be 1 upon 2 times 1 upon 2 power 3, like this. So whatever your object is, your scalar k value will move to its power. This way the scalar multiplication is defined.
सर R प्लस बोला हुआ है ऊपर, तो माइनस नंबर ले सकते हैं?
या माइनस नंबर इसके लिए ले सकते हैं ना, k के लिए. K is not coming from your R plus. K is any scalar from R. The object is coming from R plus. You need to understand this thing. K is not coming from R plus. Sorry?
Previous वाले में.
This one.
Yes sir. X plus y equal to xy वाले में.
हाँ, उसी के लिए बता रहा हूं मैं. ये एक्चुअली k times x है ना. So k times x में जो ये k है ना, k is your scalar. And scalar can come from set R. Scalar negatives are allowed.
xy बोल रहा है सर.
Sorry?
x plus y is equal to xy बोल रहा है सर. उसमें आपने -2 plus 5 लिया है ना.
Okay, यहाँ पर okay, that's my mistake. It should not have minus here. Yeah, that's correct. But here in multiplication, k can come from R. So k can be a negative value also, positive value also, fractions also. K can be anything. But your object x should be only positive real number. Right? So this way our operations are defined. Addition is given by ordinary multiplication, and k times x is given by x power k. Right? So if these operations are clear to us, then let's try to check all 10 conditions. Let's start with first condition. So let x, y, and z be positive real numbers of R plus. Let k1 and k2 be some scalars. Now first condition, x plus y. Now x is part of R plus, that means it is positive real number. Y is part of R plus, that means positive real number. Now what do you think? If you multiply two positive real numbers, is your answer again positive? प्लीज टेल मी, अगर x आपका पॉजिटिव रियल नंबर है, if y is positive real number, then multiplication of two positive value will be positive or negative?
So positive.
Obviously positive, and obviously multiplication of two real number is again real number. So whatever your x and y value is, their multiplication is again positive as well as they are real numbers. That means x into y, it is also part of r plus. So the closure property is satisfied here. So r plus is closed under this addition operation. So this closure property is satisfied. Now second condition क्या था? What was that second condition? किसी को याद है? किसी को याद रहा वो condition क्या था second? Anyone? Well, there are 10 conditions, tough to remember, but no problem. Second condition is for, it's commutative law. Commutative law means u plus v equal to b plus u. So in our case, it is x plus y. X plus y is what? X into y. Then y plus x. Y plus x is what? Y into x. Now, do you think x into y and y into x, they both will produce same value? Whether you take 2 into 3 or 3 into 2, they both will produce which value? 6. Because it is ordinary multiplication. So x plus y will give you 6. Y plus x will also give you 6. That means x into y and y into x, they both are same. So x plus y is equal to y plus x. That means the commutative law is satisfied here. Then the third condition is for associative law. For associative law, let's try to take left hand side first. This is your left hand side. In left hand side, y and z, they are in association. So what we need to do, keep x as it is. First multiply x, then y plus z. Now you take y plus z. Y plus z is given by y into z. So ultimately this will give you x into y into z. So your left hand side gives you x into y into z. Now let's take right hand side. What is right hand side? It is x plus y plus z. So because of this addition, we need to take multiplication of x plus y into z. Now for this x plus y, again we need to multiply x and y. So it is x into y into z. So ultimately it is also x into y into z. So left hand side is also x into y into z, and right hand side is also x into y into z. That means the associative law is also satisfied. यहाँ पर हमने किया क्या, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड से हम लोग यहाँ तक पहुंच गए x into y into z. तो इसी को आगे सिंप्लीफाई करते करते we got the right hand side. So you can also do it like this, or you can calculate left hand side, right hand side separately, and you can match the values. If they are same, then the associative law is satisfied. So here the associative law is also satisfied. Then the fourth part, the existence of zero element or zero object. Now whenever you want to find zero element in your set, what you need to do, you assume that zero element exists in our set. So let's say A is zero object. Let's assume that A is our zero object. Now if A is my zero object, then if I add my zero object to any other object x, then my answer should be x again, right? Because this is the property of zero vector or zero object. Now how I can calculate a plus x? Because of my operation a plus x is given by a into x. So a into x is equal to x. Now let me divide by x. So a is equal to x upon x. Now x upon x is equal to 1. So because of this simplification, I'm getting a equal to 1 here. Right? So as per this property, my zero object should be a equal to 1. But first I need to check whether it is part of R plus or not. Because if this is not part of R plus, then the condition is not satisfied. So tell me, is a equal to 1 part of R plus? Is it positive real number? क्या ये positive real number है?
Yes, sir.
Correct. It is part of R plus. That means the zero object is present in our R plus, and that zero object is a equal to 1. So here our zero object is 1. कितना सुनने में और लगता है ना कि zero object is 1. And because your operation is multiplication here, that's why your zero object is 1. So zero object is present in our set. Then the existence of opposite object. So again, we'll do it just similar like zero object. First, you assume that A is the opposite object of X. So if A and X, they are opposite object, then If I add them x plus a, then their addition should be 1. 1 is your zero object, right? So x plus a is given by x into a. So x into a is equal to 1. So what is a? A is equal to 1 upon x. That means if x is your object, then opposite of x is given by 1 upon x. Now, do you think 1 upon x is part of R plus? Is 1 upon x positive real number? What do you think? Is it part of R plus? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because if x is positive, then obviously 1 upon x is also positive, and 1 upon x is also a real number. Just for example, if x is 2, then 1 upon 2 is also positive as well as real number. So if x equal to 2 is part of R plus, then 1 upon 2 is also part of R plus. Right? That means for every object x, we have an opposite element 1 upon x, and it is also part of R plus. So for every object x, there exists opposite object 1 upon x in our set R plus. So the condition 4 and condition 5 both are satisfied for addition operation. Right? So half part is done, 50% part is done. The first 5 conditions are satisfied here for the set R plus and for the operation x plus y equal to x into y. Now let's move to second part, the rest 5 conditions for scalar multiplication. देखते हैं satisfy होते हैं कि नहीं. Let's see. Now condition number 6, the closure property for scalar multiplication. Now what is that property? That if you take scalar k from a set of real numbers, if you take your object from your set V, then k times x, again it should be part of set V. Now here V is your R plus, it is set of positive numbers. So if I take any scalar k, and if I take any positive real number x from R plus, then their multiplication is given by, the definition of multiplication is this, x power k. Now do you think this x power k is member of R plus? What do you think? Is it member of R plus? क्या लगता है आप लोगों को? Do you think x power k will be positive real number? Is there any chance that it can be negative? Let's try to understand this thing by example. Let's take x equal to 2. Right? Now for k, we have 3 possibilities. K can be negative, k can be 0, k can be positive. Right? For example, if k is negative, let me take k equal to -3, k equal to 0, and let me take k equal to +3. Let's try to understand all 3 cases. Now if I take -3 times 2, then because of operation, what will happen? It will be 2 power -3. Now what is 2 power -3? It is 1 upon 2 power plus 3. So it is 1 upon 8. So obviously 1 upon 8 is positive as well as real number. So this belongs to R plus. Now if I take 0 times 2, so as per this operation, it should be 2 power 0. 2 power 0 is what? 1. Now obviously 1 is positive real number. So it belongs to R plus. Now let me take positive value for k. 3 times 2. So as per operation, it should be 2 power 3. 2 power 3 is what? 8. Again, 8 is a positive real number. So it is part of R plus. So no matter whatever value of k you choose, k times x, that is equal to x power k, is always part of R plus if x is positive real number. और वो तो है ही, x तो पॉजिटिव रियल नंबर ही है, तो उसका कोई भी पावर ले लो, नेगेटिव पावर, पॉजिटिव पावर और जीरो पावर, इट विल बी अगेन रियल एंड positive. So the closure property for scalar multiplication is also satisfied here. Now the next condition, 7th one, is k times x plus y should be equal to k times x plus k times y. Now again you can check this thing with left hand side and right hand side. This is always easy approach. ये always easy पड़ता है check करने में. Now what is your left hand side? K times x plus y. Now what is x plus y? As per our definition of addition, x plus y is x into y. Now what is k times xy? As per our scalar multiplication, it is xy power k. Right? So this is your answer, xy power k for left hand side. Now let's take right hand side. K times x plus k times y. Now what is k times x? As per our definition of multiplication, it is x power k. Plus what is k times y? It is y power k. Now we need to add these two things. Now as per the definition of addition, it is x power k into y power k. And when you have multiplication with same power, we can write it like this: xy whole power k. As you can see, the left hand side is also xy whole power k, right hand side is also xy whole power k. That means the rule number 7 is also satisfied here. Similarly, if we check rule number 8, rule number 8 is what? Left hand side is k1 plus k2 times x, and right hand side is k1x plus k2x. Let's try to check it. Now k1 plus k2 times x, what is the definition of scalar multiplication? That whatever scalar you have, it should go to power. So this will go to power x power k1 plus k2. Now we can simplify this thing as x power k1 into x power k2. So that's your left hand side. Similarly, here what will happen? K1x will give you x power k1 plus k2x will give you x power k2. Now if we simplify this with the help of addition operation, it will be x power k1 into x power k2. Now as you can see, again left hand side, right hand side, they both are giving same result. Right? So rule number 8 is also satisfied here for these operations. Okay. Now rule number 9. Rule number 9, again let's try to do it with left hand side and right hand side. What is my left hand side in rule number 9? It is k1 times k2x, and this is k1 k2 times x. So here what will happen? K1 times, now what is k2 into x? It will be x power k2. Then k1 times any object will be x power k2, and this will go to power again. Now we know that power's power will be multiplication, so it is x power k1 into k2. Right? That's your left hand side. Now in right hand side, we have k1 into k2 times x. So as per the definition of scalar multiplication, this k1 into k2 should go to power. So it is x power k1 into k2. Now as you can see, both left hand side and right hand side, they are same. So the 9th rule of vector space is also satisfied here. And finally, the small and very important rule, that 1 times any object should be that object again. So 1 times x is actually x power 1 as per the multiplication operation, and then x power 1 is equal to x. So the 10th rule of vector space is also satisfied here. That means now we can confidently conclude that R plus is vector space under the given operations. Right? We need to mention this line under the given operation, because if you change the operation, it's possible that some of the condition might not satisfy. So it's not a vector space for other operations, but for these two operations, this set is a vector space. So whenever you are applying any algorithm in your machine learning subject, you need to be careful about your data set. Whatever data set you are using, try to observe your data set, try to observe your operations first, and check whether your operations they are forming a vector space or not for your data set. जो भी आपका data set V है, उसके लिए 2 operations define करो, depending on your requirement, जो भी आपके requirement है algorithm के उसके हिसाब से, and then check for 10 conditions. If these 10 conditions are satisfied for your operations and for your data set, then that data set is good enough to provide to your algorithm. Then we can give it to algorithm for training. So this way vector space is helping us to check whether the data set is proper or not. So these are the 10 conditions for vector space. I think the time is about to finish. So after that, in next session, we'll take one more example of vector space, and then we'll discuss the next topic, subspace. So before we wind up this session, please tell me, the 10 conditions of vector space, are they clear to everyone after this example? The idea is getting clear
Yes.
or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the response. Now let's quickly take the attendance and then we'll finish this session. So just like every other session, I'll give you the range and you are requested to post your number here in the chat box. So first, enrollment number 1 to 10, please post your enrollment number here in the chat box for attendance. Enrollment number 1 to 10. Next, 11 to 20. Please post your number here, 11 to 20. Then 21 to 30. 21 to 30. 31 to 40. 31 to 40. 41 to 50. 41 to 50. 51 to 60. 51 to 60. 61 to 70. 61 to 70. Then 71 to 73, the remaining students after 70. And now all the D2D students are requested to post their numbers here. All the D2D students, please give your number here. Okay, thank you everyone for attending this session.